Hey y'all, hey, a long time no talk, but here I am, I'm back. And today I'm gonna talk about my second trimester recap. I know it has been a while. I am currently in my third trimester doing my second trimester recap, but that's okay. I actually have a doctor's appointment today and I'm just gonna do a little quick 1-2 on my face, not necessarily for the doctor's appointment because at this point I'm in the thick of it, but I do want to record some more content today. So I'm gonna just throw a little face on and then talk about my second trimester experience as I beat my face. Also, if you see like some white cast in my hair, it's because of the pomade that the braider used. So don't be alarmed. I promise y'all my hair is clean. So the second trimester is technically from the beginning of week 13. Is it? I think so. The beginning of week 13 and the end of week 27. So I think right up until you are about to start your 28th week, that is considered your second trimester. And so I've heard people say that the second trimester is like a sweet spot because, you know, the first trimester can be really rough if you have nausea or, if you have any kind of food aversion, smell aversion. A lot of that sickness is pretty common. In the first trimester, as I talked about in my first trimester recap, I wasn't sick at all, praise God. But people say that once you hit your second trimester, that's when that kind of starts to lift. You get a little bit of relief and you get a boost of energy. Now, because I wasn't sick, I didn't really have any, change or transition from that. But I will say that I do feel like I had a lot more energy in my second trimester. My first trimester, y'all, I was tired all the time. I could take a nap every day. I could low-key take a nap every day before I was pregnant. But this was just a different kind of tired, like the fatigue where you just don't even understand where it came from. It just sneaks up on you. That's the kind of fatigue I was experiencing in my first trimester. But in my second trimester, I was not as tired. And so I had a lot more energy to do things in my daily life, things that I needed to do for work, things that I needed to do around the house. I even went on a couple vacations. So when I was 4 months, I went to Miami for a bachelorette, right? And I wasn't like showing. My stomach was protruding, but it was still protruding just enough to where, depending on what I wore, it wasn't necessarily obvious that I was pregnant. And so I went on the trip. Now, you're probably thinking, who wants to go to a bachelorette when they're 4 months pregnant? This was a very good friend of mine, and her wedding is in the beginning of January. And so I knew that I probably wasn't going to be able to make the wedding because I was going to have a fresh baby. So I was like, you know what? I definitely have to make the bachelorette so I can help her celebrate this momentous occasion. And so we went to Miami. I had a good time. The walking around didn't really bother me so much, but everybody was catering to the pregnant lady all weekend. So I sat down when I needed to sit down. While they were drinking, I had water. It was all good. At this point, I was still working my job. So, still going to work every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. My second trimester was over the summertime. And so that was pretty much like the second half of May through September or August. Probably August. Yeah, like the second half of May through August was when my second trimester took place. And we actually planned a vacation for my mom's 60th birthday. My mom turned 60 in June. And y'all, I knew that I wanted to have a child. So in my mind, like, even though we weren't trying, I was like, I really don't want to be too pregnant to celebrate my mom's birthday. So it's going to have to, align with that timeline. Now, mind you, I did not truly take this into my own hands, but God worked it out to where I was 5 months pregnant when we went on the cruise. So we went on a cruise for her birthday to the Western Caribbean. We went to San Juan. We went to St. Martin. We went to Grand Amber Cove in the Dominican Republic and Grand Turk. And so it was lots of fun. Now, I definitely felt more pregnant at 5 months than I did at 4 months. And so on the trip, I wore heels for the photo ops essentially, but listen, y'all, by the time I got to month 5, I pretty much retired the heels. My second trimester is when I retired the heels. I was still wearing them in my first trimester, but I definitely started to feel the extra weight that I was carrying. And of course, you know, with gravity pulling it down on the shoes, it just wasn't, I feel like it was the sturdiest option for me. And so I pretty much transitioned to sandals and flats and sneakers, but it was okay because wasn't nobody finna be walking around a cruise ship in heels, no way. And definitely not on the land as a tourist. Now for the excursions that we went on, I pretty much had to be selective about what we picked because it was a family trip. So I went with my husband, my mom, my sister, and my brother. And, you know, some of them were walking tours, and I knew, I was like, a combination of the July heat and walking around probably wasn't going to be the best option for me. And there were some excursions that even advised against pregnant women participating. And so we had to be selective about those, but we still had a good time. I pretty much picked tours where we could be on, and I say I pretty much picked because I was like the planner for this. I picked tours that involved car rides, you know, where you could hop out, take a picture, grab something, get back in the car in the AC, you know, and I'm glad that worked out for us. We went to the beach in Grand Turk, I think it was. So we spent the day at the beach, didn't have to walk around while we were there. And then we also went to the beach when we were in St. Martin. My husband got on the jet skis, but of course I couldn't do that. Was not gonna risk it with my little munchkin, but he had a good time. And my mom had a good time, and that's what matters. And you know, on a cruise, you can pretty much eat as much as you want. So I was definitely here for that part at 5 months pregnant. My second trimester is also when we had our gender reveal. So I posted the video for that. You can see about how big my bump was and how I was looking in the second trimester when we were able to refer to him with he, him pronouns and start preparing to be boy parents, all of that. I think that this was also around the time where I noticed my breathing changing. I started breathing heavier, y'all. And I'd be laying down in the bed. My husband be like, why are you breathing so hard? I'd be like, because I'm pregnant. That's why. You know, as your uterus is expanding, it's pushing up on your diaphragm. And so you just have to work harder. You got to work harder to live. You got to work harder just to inhale and exhale, but it's all for a purpose. So it's okay. But yeah, definitely breathing harder, having to catch my breath. And then as far as my working out, y'all, I started out with good intentions, got a gym membership at Crunch Fitness just so I could go at least take a walk on my lunch breaks and stuff, even if I only walked for 30 minutes. But y'all, the further along I became, just the less energy I had to do that. And I know that's, you know, not necessarily a viable excuse because they still encourage you to remain active while you're pregnant. But I think it's easy to say how active you're going to be when you're pregnant before you actually get pregnant. And once you experience what that fatigue is like, or sometimes not even fatigue, but just having to kind of keep up with all of your other life responsibilities and obligations, by the time the workday was over, I was ready to go home. And then there were also days where I wasn't able to go on my lunch break because I chose to book my doctor's appointment over lunch, or I had another appointment of some sort, some kind of errand that I needed to run. And so the gym did get put on the back burner, y'all. It did. And I know I gained weight, but it's okay because I'm gonna get it together when it's all said and done. New second trimester symptoms included heartburn. I had always seen heartburn commercials, you know, and heartburn medicine commercials, but I'd never experienced it before. And so I think the first time I did, I was just confused. I was like, I knew I was feeling something, but I didn't know what it was or what to identify it as. And in the beginning, I couldn't tell if I was feeling it in my chest or my throat. I just knew I felt like this kind of burning sensation, you know, not extreme or severe, like, oh my God, I need to go to the hospital, but definitely noticed it I think the first time I noticed it, I was eating pizza. It was after I ate pizza and I was at the movies. And then I just felt that thing rising up in me. And I was like, what is this? And then I also think I had a little bit of acid reflux. So I was like, oh God, this must be what's starting as far as heartburn being a pregnancy symptom. And I knew that heartburn was a pregnancy symptom, but I didn't expect to experience it until later in the pregnancy, if I did at all, because I've always heard people associate having heartburn with the baby having a lot of hair. And for some reason in my mind, I thought that was one of the last things that the baby was going to develop. But the baby actually develops hair earlier than the end of your pregnancy. And so he probably already had hair around the time that I started feeling it. But I don't know, you know how old wives' tales go, because some people say they did not have heartburn at all and then their baby came out with a head full of hair. So it has just happened to be my portion. And so I asked people what to do. They said, get you some Tums. And so I got Tums, and I was taking Tums at first, but then I realized them Tums wasn't doing nothing for me. I still had heartburn even when I took the Tums. And on the dosage instructions, it limits how many tablets, because I had the chewable tablets, a pregnant woman can have in a 24-hour period. So by the time I had exhausted that allowance and I still had heartburn, y'all, I just stopped taking the Tums altogether because I was like, this is pointless. And so I've really just been sticking it out. I've been thugging it out, trying to drink cold water. Sitting up helps versus laying down. If you lay down right after you eat, it's a bad idea. You're definitely going to feel it. And so I kind of just had to adapt. The second new symptom I experienced was pelvic pressure, also associated with lightning crotch, round ligament pain, all of those things. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know how to explain it when I was trying to tell my husband how I was feeling. But I knew, like, anytime I tried to turn over in bed real quick, I would feel that pain and I would be like, oh my God. And so I looked it up, and then I realized that that's what it was. Lightning crotch is a sharp sudden pain in your vagina / pelvic region. And it happens as the baby and your uterus get bigger and apply more pressure. Gravity's also pulling it down. And I feel like it's exacerbated when you have sudden movements, like turning over in bed or trying to get out of bed or trying to get up from the couch. When I most noticed it is when I was trying to roll over in bed. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And so they have like waistbands and like belts that are specifically designed to help relieve some of that pressure. I did end up ordering one on Amazon, but to be honest, I didn't really start wearing it until my third trimester. I probably could have, started wearing it sooner. They even make custom ones, and I probably needed a custom one versus the one that you can get on like Amazon, because the one on Amazon that I got, I don't feel like it'd be doing nothing for real, And then there are some other like moms that I spoke to, and they experienced lightning crotch, but they said they didn't experience it until their third trimester. So I feel like I experienced it fairly early, just based on, their experience, since I was feeling it before I was even in my third trimester. But yeah, if I didn't believe I was pregnant before, I definitely knew something was going on down there. But honestly, like, despite the discomfort, I know that I have heard like horror stories of people's pregnancy symptoms. So I still feel like I've had a lot to be grateful for throughout my pregnancy, because even with the heartburn and even with the lightning crotch, it could have been worse. It could have been worse, but the Lord has kept me. The Lord has kept my child. So it's all good. Beyond those symptoms, my second trimester is also when I felt my baby move for the first time. And that was so super exciting. I was like 20 weeks when we went on the cruise, and I was expecting to feel my baby move on that cruise. I wanted to feel him so bad. I was so excited. But y'all, he took his sweet time. He was like, I'm moving on my own time. And that's around the time where they say you'll start feeling movement. So I just knew. I was like, the cruise was 8 days long, y'all. I just knew that on this cruise, I was going to experience him moving. But y'all, he has been moving to the beat of his own drum And so I did not feel him move on a cruise, but I did feel him move the week immediately after. And I had some cookies, and you know, they say sugar is what really gets him going. I wasn't even trying to make him move, but I just happened to get some cookies that day. And then I was sitting at my desk at work, and all of a sudden I felt something. And I was like, what was that? And so I just got really still, and I was like, okay, if I feel it again, then maybe that's him. And then I felt the movement again, and I was like, my baby. I feel my baby. That was probably one of the most precious moments that I've had throughout this entire experience. And the movements only got stronger from there. So this is the thing about feeling your baby move. People be like, oh, it's going to feel like butterflies. It's going to feel like flutters at first. And I was like, what does that even feel like? You know, like you don't have anything to compare it to. Some people have said that it feels like gas. It didn't feel like gas to me, but the first time I felt him move, I knew that was him. It was different. I wouldn't say it felt like gas. I wouldn't say it felt like a flutter. It felt like a tiny poke inside, like somebody just tapped an organ, you know, or tapped the outside of my uterus, and I felt it. And so the movements did get stronger from there. They don't really, like, I guess they can be kicking at some point, but it doesn't really feel like strong kicks until you get into your third trimester. But yeah, that was super exciting. So I was about 21 weeks, I guess, when I felt him move for the first time. I also started noticing my skin changing colors in my second trimester. At first, I thought it was because of the tan from being on the cruise. I also went to the beach with my friend for her birthday in June. And so I was waiting for my color to come back, y'all, and it never came back. And it was mainly like, I could see it in my chest. My chest had gotten darker, my neck had gotten darker, and I've always had hyperpigmentation in my neck, but it got even darker, y'all. And you can still see that it's even darker. But yeah, I know that they say, I guess, like, you have increased melanin production when you're pregnant, something like that. It's expected to, like, go away after you have the baby, but that was another second trimester characteristic that I experienced. And y'all, I started feeling pain in my feet, which I actually was not expecting. And I thought it was because I wore like these chunky heels at the beginning of my second trimester. And I thought maybe I just had them on too long and that was why my feet were hurting. But y'all, even long after I took those heels off and long after I transitioned to wearing like sandals, sneakers, flats only, when I would get up, like when I get up from sitting down and I start to walk, I would feel the pain in my feet, almost as if like my bones were weak. And so, you know, I don't know if that's because the baby was sucking on my calcium or what, but I do hope that that goes away because it hasn't lifted since. Like once it started, it's been pretty consistent. But yeah, definitely the pain in my feet. They say that pregnancy can be hard on your teeth as well. So in my second trimester is when I started doing my additional cleaning appointments. And so based on your insurance, most insurance policies will allow you to have additional cleanings while you're pregnant. And so instead of going every 6 months, you can go like maybe 3 or 4 times. I think I got up to 2 additional cleanings during pregnancy. And so I could really go like 4 times, including the 2 additional or the 2 cleanings that I was already allotted. I had one in March. I had another in August, and then I just had my last one in November this month. And then they also give 2 additional postpartum ones, I believe. So yeah, that has characterized part of my, you know, personal upkeep and, you know, health appointments, health-related appointments. My doctor's appointments were every month during my second trimester, once a month. And they honestly go by pretty quick, which is a blessing because I saw somebody say that when you're having a healthy pregnancy, they have you in and out. And at first it would be kind of annoying because I would be like, I took off work for this, but it's really a blessing because, you know, they don't need to keep you. They don't need to run additional tests. They check the baby's heartbeat. They ask you if you have any questions. They started to measure my bump in my second trimester too, just to kind of monitor the baby's growth. And after that, I would be in and out. And so, you know, I'm just grateful that the Lord has kept everything functioning as it has needed to function, kept the baby in good health, all that jazz. I also went to a water park during my second trimester, Volcano Bay in Orlando. And we went for my husband's birthday. All I could really do was like get in the lazy river or the pool. There was also a river that wasn't quite so lazy. It like had currents coming through and you could kind of ride it out on a flotation device. I was able to do that. But of course I couldn't get on like the water slides or any of the rides with a lot of sudden movement and, you know, jerking or things of that nature. But I still had a good time. It was definitely hot out there. It was real hot. But I had a good time. I saw somebody out there who looked like they were about to pop. And I know, like, using that phrase, it's kind of, like, annoying because when you get in your third trimester, everybody makes comments like, oh, you look like you're about to pop, even when you're not about to pop. And you probably don't even look like you're about to pop. But I don't know if it's just awkward for them. Like, that's just what they think to say when they see you. But her belly had dropped, and I just could not believe that she was out there in that sun. She was with her daughter and her husband. It was probably like a special occasion. It might have even been like their last family thing together before she had the new baby. But I was just like, oh, girl, God bless you, because it could not be me. A symptom that went away while I was in my second trimester were the headaches. I had headaches in my first trimester pretty much throughout the whole thing. But once I got into my second trimester, I did not have them anymore. And I was so grateful because it's such a pain to have a headache when you're pregnant or like a migraine when you're pregnant because you can't take Excedrin. You can't take anything with aspirin. And so pretty much the best thing you can do is just try to go to sleep or just like, you know, wait it out. But there's no real medicinal relief for you unless there's some kind of holistic method that I don't know about. But yeah, was definitely glad to see those go. And also I want to note this. And your second trimester is when you have your anatomy scan. Your anatomy scan is when they look at all the parts of the baby's body, his bone structure, his or her bone structure, and tell you if they see any abnormalities or if everything looks good. I also had genetic testing done. Just because, you know, like regardless of what the results were, I would have kept my baby regardless. But just to be, you know, as informed as possible, I did opt to go that route. I had blood work done and they scheduled a meeting with the doctor to go over the results of, you know, like the lab work, and everything looked fine, which I was so grateful for because, you know, it's not everybody's testimony. So I just bless God for that. But with the anatomy scan, it's so nerve-wracking, y'all, because essentially they're giving you an ultrasound and they're examining all of the parts of the baby's body as you're laying there. And so you're kind of just on pins and needles, like waiting for them to say everything looks good or if something looks odd. They're making all these like notes on the screen on the ultrasound in language that probably only sonogram techs understand. And so you don't really know what's going on until they tell you. But once it's over and they're like, everything looks good, the baby looks healthy, da 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 da, it's such a relief as a parent. It's such a relief as a mom. You have nothing in your heart but gratitude. My second trimester cravings probably included pizza and ice cream. At first, I didn't really feel like I had cravings, and I didn't crave anything abnormal, you know, like no odd combinations, but I had a taste for pizza and ice cream about all the time, and I ate so much watermelon this summer. So much watermelon. And I liked watermelon before I got pregnant, but I guess my baby likes watermelon too. Because we had us a good old time getting us bowls of watermelon from Publix. I'm really trying to wrap this up because I have to leave to get to my appointment. But I think that was, you know, the majority of reflections I had for my second trimester. Of course, some of that was spent planning my baby shower, which I essentially delegated for the most part. But, you know, I still had to be involved in a little bit of the details. My advice to any pregnant mom in their second trimester is to get as much done as you can in your second trimester. Of course, you want to wait until you've completed your first trimester to like start doing big stuff because you don't want to do anything prematurely in case anything happens, you know, although of course we always pray and hope for the best. But definitely once you feel like you're in the clear and you're in that second trimester, this is the time of your pregnancy where you will have the most energy, baby. So anything that you can get done before you start moving slow and, you know, feeling heavy and just needing to sit down all the time, I say go ahead and do it. There was a lot left to be done once I started my third trimester. And of course, this is not the time where I have the most energy. So it's been a little harder as far as it being taxing on me. Thankfully, you know, I've had help from friends and family and my husband, but whatever you can get done around like that 6 months pregnant period, go ahead and do it. So thank you for tuning in. I am going to update y'all on my third trimester shortly, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more pregnancy and lifestyle content, as well as motherhood content, which is soon to come since baby is on his way. But yeah, thank you. Bye.